All right, good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We're live on channel 22. We're streaming to YouTube, and the phone lines are not open for this meeting, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome to the July 10th, 2025 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. We have 10 applications before us this afternoon. We are also canceling our July 24th meeting as half the members, including our alternate, cannot attend, and there were just a couple applications at that meeting that have been moved to the first meeting in August. We're not comfortable that we would have a comfortable quorum for the meeting that's being canceled. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of our June 26, 2025 meeting? So Frank, second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So passed. First order of business tonight is change to commercial agricultural easement. This is Pinkerton Farm, a modification, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-166-4-1.4. And this is at 92 Spring Close Highway in East Hampton, and this is mine. So this is an application to approve a pergola, a 600 square foot recently built white barn with siding doors and windows that stray a little bit from the original plans, and raised flower beds on this charming 1.4 acre farm that includes a vegetable stand. Applicant has been before us several times in the last few years, upgrading the property, which is completely open to the public. The pergola is a replacement in kind. The white barn is now hardy shake, Arctic white, with board and batten on the front instead of a steel siding. The roof is black asphalt instead of a black steel roof. Lighting over the doors was moved to the side of the doors, which is minimal, and the windows remain black exterior with white interior. Everything is done on this property to the highest standards. It's actually a beautiful little farm. I call it a farmette, and it's a pleasure to visit it. I see no reason not to approve these modifications to this property and the addition of a pergola, which is here, which was rebuilt. And the raised beds are around the pergola. Soon, one or two more shots, Will. Pergola itself, the beds on either side, and then there's a yeah. So, any comments from the board?
None. No.
No.
Very nice.
Harry, any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, now that we got that all figured out, I was wondering if you guys can issue a memo for me to get a CO issued.
We have to write this resolution, and then it has to be formally submitted online.
Okay.
So if you guys submit that, I'll have the resolution for you next week.
Okay.
And then submit right after that, we get it on the August meeting.
Okay.
For a C of O,
Another
The
meeting.
next meeting is August 14th.
but he needs to come back for a C of O.
Yes.
Yes. So one more shot.
One more shot to come back.
Yeah, we're approving all the stuff that was built and
Okay.
some of the modifications to the barn tonight. And then that will create a memo that will allow you to come before us again for a C of O. And then the C of O will be granted, obviously.
All your
Okay, great.
And
Thank you.
okay, thanks, Harry. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as submitted. May I have a second?
Second.
Clara, Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so passed. Second order of business tonight is in the Historic District. It's 109 DeForest Lane. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-32-6.7. This is in Montauk. This again is mine. This is an application to build two small pool houses, a pool, and a two-car garage in the Montauk Association Historic District. It has been before us recently, and we asked for more traditional windows and doors for the two pool houses that will be constructed. We'd like them to conform to the garage, which is also going to be constructed, a two-car garage. In reviewing all the paperwork, applicant has complied with their request using Marvin double-hung windows with divided lights and traditional French doors with divided lights for the proposed pool house. This is actually a photograph of the very modest house on the site. The Montauk Association is the jewel of all the town's historic districts. There are 7 sister McKimby and White houses in this district and 5 non-historic houses. This is one of those non-historic houses. It is on a flag lot visible from nowhere on 1.8 acres and abuts a very large suburban neighborhood, which you see the peak of the roof from that suburban neighborhood. The guidelines for new construction on this property look to compatibility with the 7 sister houses, which are all shingle houses from the 1880s. The garage and the new pool houses will be barely visible from 2 of the 7 sister houses, which abut it, and not visible from anywhere else. The proposed work meets this standard. The applicant is also asking to slightly reorient the southern pool house, move it a few feet, add a covered porch over the proposed deck on the northern pool house, and an outdoor bluestone freestanding fireplace. All the buildings are to be cedar shake with asphalt roofs to match the existing house. So that's the site where the pool houses are going. In the distance, you can see one of the chimneys from the 7 sisters. Well, let's go through the other photos. That's the driveway, very long flag lot driveway off of DeForest. That's the house as you come up to it. House itself, back of the house, and where the grassy area where the pool houses are going to go. Okay, when we were favorably inclined when we last reviewed this application on March 27th, and I remain so. The traditional windows will make a huge difference and conform to the historic neighborhood. It's a sympathetic project which respects its context and the history of all its neighbors. Any discussion from the board? Tara, anything I missed? Oh, here we go. There we go. This is great. So those are the 2 pool houses with the new windows, proposed windows. That's the freestanding fireplace. These are like 600 square foot structures. And then we have one of the garage, Will.
So here's the garage in the background.
There's the garage window. Okay, they're all very traditional and fit nicely into the landscape. No further discussion. I'd like to make a motion to approve this project as submitted. May I have a second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone? Unanimous, so passed. We're going to go right to Tara's C of O, right? So on the same property. Oh, no, Anthony Providenti, okay. So moving quickly, just one off to certificates of occupancy. This is for a certificate of occupancy for Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-4-17.2. And this is 2 Old Hedges Lane in East Hampton. Clara, this is yours.
Thank you. So this application was to install a generator within the previously approved enclosure behind the garage. So in the picture, you can see the house from the driveway and the garage. Well, if you can jump to the next picture, please. This is the enclosure behind the garage that's not visible. You pull in, and you can see that since the approval in December, they already installed a generator within the enclosure. So I'm not sure if anybody has anything to add to this application, but
Yeah,
straightforward.
we approved this enclosure applications ago, so sure.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the condition and substantially conforms of the ARB approval of the resolution dated December 12, 2024, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
All in favor, second? Second. Diane, all in favor? Aye. Aye, unanimously passed. Thanks very much. See you, Tara, Claire. Okay, still in Historic District, Bluff Road Association. This is a modification, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-190-2-21. And this is 325 Bluff Road in Amagansett. Chris, this is yours. And yeah, Clara's going to recuse herself because of a client conflict.
This is a very minor modification to a project we approved last year, which was for this new house and a demolition of existing house, new house. Everybody sitting up here is pretty familiar with this project. The very minor modification that we're looking at today is not at all a change to the house. It's a change to the swimming pool area. If you look at that diagonal double band there, that runs across the site, that's the coastal erosion hazard zone line. And the previously approved project went through zoning, planning, and the ARB, giving approval for a point of that pool area to be extending beyond that coastal erosion hazard line. We didn't have any problem with it at the time, but here we are. Somehow things got thrown back for a design amendment to stay behind that line, and this is what the architects have done. They've lopped off that corner of the pool and changed the configuration of the pool slightly, changed the terrace and steps that lead to that pool. You can see the terrace is shrunk in front of the house. And the steps going up to the pool area have changed configuration to change the connection. So, Will, you want to just flip through the before and after? The applicants have given us a kind of before and after in their architectural plans. Yeah, that's what we approved, with the walkway that ran from the square terrace, took a dog leg and ran up to the pool. They've had to, and the pool was obviously more rectilinear, crossing over that coastal erosion hazard line. The look in the renderings doesn't really change at all. It's still a pool wall facing south. Is there anybody here from the applicant? Did I miss something?
Anything you'd like to add?
You want to give an explanation for how you ended up here?
The TikTok version? Sure. Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental Association. Nice to see everyone tonight. We had come here, we went through, as you know, the Natural Resource Special Permit, the ZBA, got our approval, came to this board, got our approval, and we were dealing with the DEC. And the DEC apparently is holding a hard line about the coastal erosion line. So we were required to move everything. It's not just the pool, it's also the walkways, the fire pit, and everything, which results in actually a decrease in the final building, the final coverage, and the final clearing. So we luckily had a client who was willing to do this, and we had great architects and landscape architects who made it work. So I think the design is beautiful. In fact, with the cutback pool, you really can't tell a difference on any of the renderings. And we are back here. We had to go back and get our Natural Resource Special Permit modified, which happened last month, June 10th. And now we're here to get our ARB approval so we can get a building permit.
And how long have you been at this?
A long time.
2 years?
Over
2 years.
Over 2 years.
Okay.
I think we're at 3. Oh, we're definitely over 3 now too.
Okay. Well, we hope to speed you along.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think we're
Any
good.
comments?
Frank, you're good?
Yeah, I mean, we usually don't see it go this way, right? We usually see it go the other way towards they want to expand, or, this is just a retreat. So, yeah.
It's good for everybody. Yeah.
Well, I think I'd like to make a motion to approve the modification as submitted.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
So passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Moving on to agricultural overlays, this is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-2-14, and this is 29 Hand Creeks Road in East Hampton. Frank, it's yours.
Okay. This is an application to demolish an existing house and accessory structures and build a new house and associated structures on Hands Creek Road near the intersection with Cedar Street. This application is before us because it sits adjacent to an agricultural overlay. Because of its designation, this board has purview over and requires review of all structures, including fences and gates, regardless of height. Specifically, what is before us is a new two-story residence with detached garage, pool, terrace, pergola, driveway gate, and stone wall on a 1.2-acre lot. The new residence will not likely be visible from public vantage points on Hands Creek Road if the existing vegetation remains in its present state, which you'll see. We can just go through the photos right now. So that's right, facing kind of the back. Keep going. There's the house, Hands Creek Road's to the left. There it is. So that's Cedar Street's to the left. And then Longhouse Road is to the right there down the street. And so you can see that sort of vegetative buffer there. Keep going. Yeah. So that's the curb cut. Okay, the proposed, just giving you the numbers here, the proposed, we can walk through the drawings. I'm sure we'll go back to these more. So Hands Creek Road, I'll go back to that. Hands Creek Road is to the right there. So it places the house fairly near the street with an open backyard. So the existing GFA, excuse me, hang on, existing GFA is not provided. The proposed GFA is 5,484, the maximum 6,821, so it's about 1,400 square feet less than allowable. Maximum height is 27 feet, a little over 27 feet. Maximum is 32 allowed. Building coverage is just under 5,000 square feet, whereas 7,380 is allowed. Total lot coverage is 12,500, 20,855 is allowed. There's an application for the proposed driveway gate, which we'll review that. Also a fence at 4 feet tall. Overall, after review, and we'll talk about the lighting when I get to that. Overall, after reviewing this application, let's go through the drawings first. So there were additional drawings sent for like the pergola and I believe the next one will probably be the gate, right? So it's the proposed gate on 4 feet. So normally this wouldn't be in our purview, but because it's in an ag reserve, we have to approve a 4-foot gate. Keep going. We have and that's the stone wall. Yeah, so here's, let's go through, we can just go through the elevations. The materials are pretty straightforward. That's seen from Hands Creek Road. Keep going. Pergola left, pool. Going. Let's go to the elevations. Yeah. So you can just see the fenestration. You can just run through these. Overall, after reviewing this application, I do not have any objections right at the moment. Most importantly, the proposed dwelling and accessory structures are below the maximum allowable GFA and lot coverage. So I do thank the owner and design team for proposing something that seems relatively appropriate in size for this 1.2-acre lot. The height of the house, according to the drawings, is almost 4 feet less than allowable. It seems a fair amount of thought went into the overall siting, elevations, and materials being proposed here. Is there anyone here for the?
Oh, please come up.
Please come up.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Steve Schreibman. I'm the new owner of the property.
Okay.
You may remember the daughter of the prior owner seeking a variance for a 6-foot fence.
Yes.
Hopefully you're happy that I'm no longer seeking that variance. I appreciate what you said about the property. We did spend a lot of time trying to design something that we believe to be appropriate. So I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. My parents are both teachers. Prior to getting married, my mother was a teacher here on Long Island, and her best friend at the time, who's my brother's godmother, had us visiting East Hampton from 1976. And so I moved from the Midwest to New York in 2001 and immediately started coming back to East Hampton, bought a house less than a mile and a half away from here in 2010. I since got married, had a family. We live out here permanently. And my wife grew up on a working farm in Illinois, so she certainly appreciates the rural aspect of the Hamptons. We looked for a long time to move to a larger house as our family grew. As you know, everything got bought up and bid up during COVID. But quite frankly, we couldn't find the design that we were looking for. There was nothing wrong with the modern farmhouse, but there was a lot of it, and it was much more wide open than we were looking for. Ultimately, we bought this lot with the intention to build something that hopefully we can look back on 30 or 40 years from now and say that it still fits well within the design of the Hamptons. And so the design elements, while it has some modern elements, and while my architect, Aaron, who's terrific, is on the phone and can describe this much better than I, a lot of it is a nod to something more traditional. We have 3 neighbors on the property. We have a newer build right next door on Hands Creek, 33 Hands Creek. I contacted those neighbors and showed them the design as we were adjusting the design. So for several months, I have a letter from them that states, I believe that the proposed structure will be a thoughtful and attractive addition to the neighborhood. The design is tasteful and also consistent with the character of the surrounding properties and East Hampton more generally. I have another neighbor whose house is on Cedar. They own the entire lot that runs through to Hands Creek. If you visited the property, you probably saw a 3-car garage separate that is on the Hands Creek side of that property. Their name is the McGuires. I consulted them as well, and they sent me an email that says, thanks for reaching out and considering the impact on us and our property in regards to your plans. We both feel the project will be a positive addition to the neighborhood. The third neighbor is directly behind me on Cedar. I've been unsuccessful in reaching them. I now see cars in the driveway. I think that they are seasonal. Theirs is the new modern build. It's a white box, flat roof on Cedar. You may know it. I'll probably try and contact them as well. And theirs is the one that's directly across from the much larger agricultural area on Fieldview. And so in desiring to build a home that fits well within the community, we interviewed many architects and settled on Aaron and June, a husband and wife team from Craft Modern. And with that, I'm happy he zoomed in. He had some childcare issues. I'm happy for him to speak or for you to ask any questions you may like of the architect.
Well, we don't usually get nice stories as this one.
Oh, kind of you. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions about the architecture. My questions are actually about like the fence. If you could just run through the survey of where the fencing is being proposed.
I may turn to Aaron on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help with that. Can you all hear me?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so the intent, I think there was a little bit of confusion because the survey also shows some of the fencing to be removed. So it kind of appears that there's like duplicate fencing. But essentially what we're proposing, and actually maybe the landscape plan speaks better to what we're proposing. Essentially what we're going to be doing is removing what's currently there. You saw from your site visit A lot of the fencing was in disrepair. Some of it's above the height code. So our plan is really just to replace it along the property line. In some cases, it's a little ways in from the property line to maintain some of the natural vegetation. But we'll do it with just like a simple cedar post and wire fence. So you can see
Is there a drawing for that? I only bring this up not because we object to it,
yeah.
but technically, let's say that half the board members are not here 3 years from now, when if it's approved, there's a delay, come back and say, what was the fence? So,
Well,
Yeah,
what's
so
the detail at the top of that sheet? Can you zoom in on that?
yeah, those are planting details.
Doesn't show
But
the
on
fence
our,
scale.
on our
yeah, so two things, the design of the fence, and just run us through like slowly with your mouse where the fence is. Is it basically around the whole property?
it's around the whole property and it connects into the driveway gate.
And it's how tall?
4 feet.
Okay.
And then we have in our precedent image page where we show our materials, we have a fencing detail on that page.
4 feet, the magic word.
So yeah,
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay. I mean, generally speaking, the board is very favorable to 4 feet. We would, normally that would not need our approval in the town of East Hampton, but because where you are,
yeah.
it has to be reviewed, but we would, I don't see us objecting to this.
Yeah, I mean, our objective would be not to see it at all once the plants come in.
Yeah.
Very nice driveway gate.
Nice stone wall.
So again, the stone wall is, okay, it separates the driveway from the house. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a very elegant
Thoughtful, yeah, very thoughtful.
site plan and details here. So,
Thank you.
Comments from Chris?
I have nothing to add.
Yeah, we're pleased.
Yeah.
I'm very
Make
pleased.
sure, I think you have the lighting.
Rarely do we see a new build that is so thoughtful and just flies through the approval process.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Most, assuming we approve this, most don't make it through on the first pass. You know, usually there's some, even in like, there's lighting missing, or I can't find anything that's,
It was never our intention to max out the entire property.
Yeah, which is great, which is,
And we really tried to nod to yesteryear a little bit. And so I appreciate the commentary because we put a lot of thought and work into the design.
Absolutely.
are you going to hedge the, not like we have purview over this, but are you going to hedge the, around the property to keep out?
To keep out the deer because the fence is 4 feet? Yeah, the thought is to put green giants or something that will prevent some of that. I don't know exactly how much we will hedge, but it's just not my expertise. But
yeah, I mean, thinking about this now,
Yeah.
the board would love it if you could come up with whoever landscape architect or landscape installer you're working with, come up with a strategy for how it's placed that you don't need to come back for a taller fence.
I would like that as well. So yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron, do you have thoughts on that?
Whitney's Landscaping has put together that planting plan. So they have some thoughts about what species would be placed along the perimeter.
Yeah, because it's a good time to plan for that now, so you don't have to.
Yeah, we're trying to keep that whole south part of the site feeling as natural as possible, kind of like it always was like that. So, you know, I don't think you can expect just a row of consistent plantings. The idea is to kind of space things, stagger them, vary the species so that, you know, it largely feels natural as it grows in.
Great.
Great.
I think we're good to go.
So I'd like to make an application to approve this. I mean, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second,
A second.
Chris second, all in favor?
Aye.
Clara, Diane, Chip, all passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your house.
Thank you so much.
Still an agricultural overlay. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-189-3-7.2. This is 257 Further Lane in East Hampton. Frank, this is also yours.
Okay, this is an application to approve as-built landscape lighting at a property we're all, I think, familiar with called Further Lane Farms. Further Lane Farms the house sits way back from Further Lane Farm across an open field. It's very visible to the public, which means that this is a particularly sensitive site. Applicant was in front of us back in April regarding some accessory structures that we approved some and denied others. And so this is just for landscape lighting that's been installed. And I will also note that there are some lights that have been installed on this property that are not listed as being applied for here, but I think it merits discussion. I also want to bring up to the attention to the board that this property was subdivided, my understanding, it was subdivided in 2000, where the field in front was part of the property, and that field was basically made into an agricultural reserve. And so there are site planning restrictions and covenants as part of that division in 2000. I'm just going to go to one of them, which is 3.5, all lighting on the site shall be directed downward. So that supersedes any town code regarding uplighting. So anything in this application, in this package here that is being proposed for uplighting can't be, this board can't approve. So let's just kind of walk through, and I'll walk you through some fixture types. A lot of these are path lights. I have no objection to these. They're structures, because this is in an ag overlay. Again, it's a structure we have to approve. And we can go over this with the landscape plan, but this is near the pool. This is an outdoor eating area of which there are, the proposal is to have down lights from the trees here. These fixtures, the next one, are not on the, can you go to the next slide? Where's that? These fixtures are not on the application. So this is a code enforcement issue. We're not being asked to approve this. And I believe that these fixtures are not permitted on the lot. So
string lights generally are not permitted by code.
Permitted.
Yeah.
So this one is up to the building department inspector. Keep going. We'll go to the cut sheets after this, but there are fixtures that are installed that up in the trees that illuminate from like 2/3 of or halfway up in the tree, downward facing. We can discuss this later. Keep going. So one of us is that's the driveway once you've gone past the gate. This is on the opposite. This is like the back side of the property running parallel to Further Lane. We'll see this in the...
So you come in and take a turn to get onto this.
Yeah, it's a shared driveway through Further Lane. I believe this property actually is the owner of the drive all the way to Further Lane, but there's an easement for the driveway of the lot in back of it. But anyway, so this is like going back to the driveway where you turn right through a privacy gate, and then there will be tree lights in here. Keep going. And when I say tree lights, I mean lights casting down. This is what it looks like from Further Lane, or once you're right past the gates there. Keep going. Next one. This is what it appears from Further Lane. I think we're all fairly familiar with this. And then I took this last night. This is what it looks like at night. So I really don't think it merits any discussion by this board. That it's clear from the site plan that those uplights are not permitted. There are numerous downlights up in the trees. And again, I want to stress, these light fixtures are not, when I met the project manager or the representative from the builder on site Monday, he said he might be providing an updated lighting plan that would include these. These are not on the lighting plan, so I don't think the board can, we're not being asked to approve these, but I do think it's in the interest of the board and the owner for us to comment on these downlights in the trees. So let's go through the fixture cut sheets. Actually, let's fixture cut sheets first. That's the plan, but I want to go, it's better if we go through the cut sheet document first, that one. Okay, so this is type B. And it's showing up, but you can also cast it down. Next one. This is fixture type D. Based on the design of this doesn't appear this appears to be an uplight. So I don't, unless I can be convinced otherwise, I don't think we can approve fixture type D. Keep going. That's the path light fixture type F. I have no objection to this one. This is, I don't quite understand. I did ask the representative from the builder where this, and he didn't seem to, I don't know where those are. And we can go back to the landscape plan for that, but let's keep going. And then fixture type J is like another path light, and fixture type K. Fixtures type B, J, and K are very similar. That can be used as a uplight, some a downlight. So let's go to the landscape lighting plan. It's primarily the ones from the trees are fixture type B. That was the first one you saw. They're all like small cylinders that are mounted up in a tree.
Frank, were you able to, when you visited there at night, were you able to discern if they were in fact pointing down?
I didn't go for a site visit at night to the house.
Okay. Oh yeah,
I did.
That was just the driveway.
Yeah. The owners are in residence at the moment, and I did ask the builder about this, but I can understand the owner not wanting someone on the property at 10 o'clock at night with ARB. But we have to somewhat go on good faith that these are downlight fixtures. Again, so Further Lane is on the south side of this, between the house and Further Lane is the large field. So this is set back quite a bit. I want to just also bring up something from the code regarding exterior lights. Sorry, Will, I'm looking for your, it has to do with visibility. Okay, section 255-1-83 8F. There are three, lighting fixtures must be following. They need to be fully shielded, so the light source not visible beyond the house of the fixture. No light source can be visible beyond a property line. That means you're not supposed to see the bulb. So this brings up the question to me about tree lighting. So I can understand if it's a quarter mile back and there's a downlight fixture and you're not going to see the bulb, but if it's one of the trees that's right up near Further Lane and it's 70 feet up, we'd have to maybe go back and look, but that may be visible. It may not be fully shielded. So that's where we are. I hope that's clear to everybody, what we're being asked to approve here, which fixture types where, and there's some that on the site visit that are not on this plan, like to the left, the lights, there are no lights indicated on the landscape plan, but they're not pointing down. So, does anyone have any comments, first of all, regarding like the path lights or the on the property, house property itself, the downlight fixtures from trees? If you can imagine sort of at the ridge of this, there being a small light fixture casting a beam down.
Casting a beam down that could actually also be lower in the tree pointing up, which is,
Well,
it's we don't know.
We don't know. I mean, that it does be, that is we're not the building inspector, right? So we can only say you can't uplight your tree. So that's as good as we can do. That's up to the building inspector, or if it's visible showing up, that can be reported. But the owners need to be aware of that restriction.
So there's a deed and covenant restriction about prohibiting uplighting overall, which would supersede the code.
Right.
And then there's building code issues of pointing down and the light source, the actual bulb within the fixture not being visible from beyond the property.
So there are two issues with, I see it, the tree lighting. One is it visible? I'm less concerned about the ones like particularly on the back drive being visible, like the light source, the actual bulb. I don't think you're going to be, that's visible from further lane. The issue is, to me, is there's just a tremendous amount of lighting on this property. And it just, I kind of not sure where we kind of go with this, but it just doesn't seem in keeping with the sensitivity of this site, that there would be so much tree lighting.
I would like to make a remark. This Further Lane Farms has been before us many times for many, many reasons. And it's understandable that it's such a desirable location, that these people just want everything. And this lighting plan is just another of wanting everything. And I feel like almost it is making it appear commercial in a way, sort of a amusement parkish. It doesn't see, it's, everything they've done is very of high quality, but it's just so much of everything. And now I think the lighting is another instance of that so much.
Well, it goes beyond the lighting. Frank hasn't mentioned there's an outdoor TV that's gigantic that we asked to be removed, that's still there. Julie, our secretary, drove by Saturday night and she could see the TV from Further Lane. So I think, the rules here apply to everyone. Because you live on Further Lane, you're not exempt from code and the rules of this town. And I think this applicant is pushing us to the extreme in the things that they're doing and asking for that are not in keeping with the nature of this street and the nature of this town. And at some point, we're going to reach our limit.
I think we've had, in terms of how we approach this, I'm thinking back to the commercial property near Maidstone Park that we reviewed, and we did ask them to come back with an accurate updating of as-built lighting, because what they had applied for and what was existing on the property did not agree with each other. So it seems as if We've got a lighting plan. Some of the things we can't approve because they don't comply to code, and we're not allowed to approve those. Rather than piecemeal this and say yes, yes to this fixture, but no to this fixture, we can give comments about that. But I don't think. We're not in any position to vote on anything as I see it, because the plan is not reflective of the reality. And we can't give a blanket approval, especially if it includes fixtures that are not approvable by code.
So if I were to make a suggestion of what I would think would be more appropriate for an agricultural overlay, and particularly the sensitivity of site, I'll show you one that I think I don't understand the logic for it, and I worry about its visibility from further lane, is the bottom right tree light. I just don't see a functional need for lighting that because there's no programmed space there. And I think it distracts from the intent of the agricultural overlay and field there. Certain areas like the outdoor seating area, I'm sympathetic that someone would want to have some lighting there. So I don't object to the path lights. Around next to the house, if you zoom into the one of the house to the right of the pool, there are 4 arrows, so each tree has 4 lights casting down, which means 16 lights emanating there. It's there in the back driveway. It just seems to be like we 2 times. It's just excessive.
I don't think anyone has a problem with the small downlights along the paths. They're sort of standard, and we see them often. But the rest of it, the building inspector will go out and do a night building inspection at their time that they want to go to see what these lights are, and they'll thoroughly inspect where they are. And this will go on for quite a while on a property like this. So I'd rather have the applicant comply with all the things that we're talking about than for us to send the building department and code enforcement out. But they need to do it. Andy, I think it's time maybe for you to talk.
Okay. Andrew Goldstein, Ackerman Partners. I represent the applicant. First, I want to apologize on behalf of the applicant for the TV set. It will be removed Monday. Until then, you're welcome to watch it. I'm a little confused, Frank, about an applicant where we have code compliant lights and the light source is not visible, and you quoting a section of the code that says, I believe that's what it says, that if you see the light from the street, somehow you're in violation. Because, it's a contradictory concept that we have.
Wait, can
I
you
would
say?
ask, I guess, in other words, if you're saying, if I have code compliant lights in my trees, and you can see the light in the tree, but albeit not the bulb, am I in violation?
No, I don't believe you are.
Well, I thought that's what you were
I think the bulb
That's what you-
cannot be visible, but the light source, the light source cannot be visible, but the light itself, there's not a restriction on that unless it's over that 40 watt,
Right.
no more than 3,000 K limit, or 2,700. I can't remember which.
40 watt equivalent for an uplight for tree lighting, so town code allows you for 40 watt for uplighting, allows you for 40 watts per tree, but the covenants, it doesn't allow for uplights.
Right.
So
it's a moot point.
But downlighting, it tells you what kind of fixtures to use.
the issue is the amount of actual lumen output coming from this property is quite a lot. If the town code says you can have one tree uplight for 40 watts, and you've got 4 downlights per tree, I'm not sure how to maybe interpret the building code of this, but I mean, what's to prevent you for putting 100 downlights on a tree? There comes a point at which it's excessive lighting.
There's probably a general statement in the lighting code that provides for something like that, which gives the building inspector the authority when he inspects to ask them to limit it.
Yeah, and we're not code enforcers. We are more relative to the agricultural zone and the appropriateness of applications to the character of the agricultural zone.
I guess my question is that if your concern is that 4 fixtures per tree is excessive,
Right.
noting that the code doesn't actually prescribe a number of fixtures, and you would reject the application based on that. My question is, what number of fixtures would be acceptable to you?
Which is a fair question.
I would go back to the client and say, this is what you have to do. But I don't want to take out have them take out 1 fixture, come back, and you say, well, 3 is still too many. If you say 2 is acceptable.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I understand it.
So what we will do is we will come back to you with another plan. We will remove all uplighting from the plan.
I mean, I will say that the uplights, sorry to interrupt you, but
Sure,
the
go ahead.
uplights that were on the driveway, this isn't even properly, the representative I met told me that this plan is from 2021. So this is an old plan. So the first step is to get an accurate lighting plan, including the driveway going to the house. And then come back with, I think what we should do, the first place to start is this board says, we give indication to, or we agree on what fixtures are we comfortable with moving forward and which ones clearly, actually you don't even need the board. If it's an uplight fixture that's in the cut sheet,
Right.
you can't have it. You're going to
And
have
we'll
to take
take
it
out the
out.
party lights also.
Right.
Right.
And the downward ones on the paths are fine. No one has a problem with those.
Right. Don't have a problem with the path lights. If I could make a suggestion to the owner of how to modify their lighting from further lane, I would think some more discreet, something that basically illuminates from about 24 inches and down the sort of the boundary of the driveway, as opposed to illuminating the entire halo of the tree.
Is that because the lights are too high in the tree?
It creates
Or the light is bouncing off the branches?
big picture ag overlay, very cherished ag reserve that we are trying to protect dark skies in here, which last night I drove through further lane, and everyone with the exception of one property, which must be in violation, every one of them, it's like pitch black when you drive through there. And you get here and there are tons of visible fixtures. So it's a combination of, it's a unique property that's visible from further lane that you shouldn't, the lighting should be very discreet, that should respect the agricultural field, that this would, in the spirit of, I'm hesitant to use the word of spirit because, but in the terms of how this property was divided, a lot of thought went into the site planning of, it's why there's no uplighting allowed on this property. It's to minimize the amount of light output that's emanating from this property. And this is in violation of that.
This is maximizing the amount of light on the property, so they need to go the other direction.
Well, we will, I'm going to take to heart what you said about 2 fixtures per tree. And I'll ask them if they can locate them, less obtrusively.
I mean, I think there's the town of East Hampton put out a flyer called New Outdoor Lighting Law for Our Homes when there was a lighting ordinance passed in 2008. Outlining the goals and then also the specifics, and it was from a public safety standpoint, a rural character of dark natural landscapes and our beautiful night sky are qualities that set us apart from the urban and suburban areas to the west. And light trespass, we all have a right to appropriately light our own property, but we need to respect the privacy and rights of the neighbors. And then it goes on to specifics, and I would encourage your client to review that with you. That talks about correct light fixture types and incorrect, about placements, about fully shielded and issues of landscape lighting. It's a useful document.
Where'd it come from, Chris? Building department?
It's the town of East Hampton.
It's online?
Yeah, and I can send that a link to that to our secretary, to Julie, and we could probably include that in comments. So
Andy's being very
okay.
Oh, Eric, are you online with us? Eric Schatz?
I am. Hello.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah, Eric, I was just wondering, I don't know if you had a chance to listen into this conversation here, if you have anything further to add. I realize you're not a member of the board, but given your position with the town, any additional guidance you might be able to give the applicant here regarding lighting of this property that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I heard the whole conversation. I didn't want to derail the board's conversation, but I guess the first thing is planning department would be happy to work with the applicant to come up with something that is code compliant. The code has a number of provisions about tree up lighting, which, as was discussed, is sort of a moot point because of that condition of site plan approval that prohibits it. But the code also has provisions about landscape lighting, which is lighting that illuminates foliage, pathways, landscape features, which is what most of this lighting appears to be. There's a codified limit of the amount of light that each individual light can put out. I don't know whether or not the existing and proposed fixtures meet that code requirement. One thing I was going to say is the lighting information that was supplied, the details for the fixtures don't provide the lumen level for those fixtures, and they also don't provide the color temperature, which is another codified requirement, that the color as you would view the light can't be too cold. It can't be too on the blue end of the spectrum. But rather than going into all of those details, we'd be happy to work with the applicant and review what they're proposing, go over what the code permits and doesn't permit, and try to work to bring something back to the ARB that is code compliant. Because really at the end of the day, other than that unique condition from that site plan that said that there's no uplighting, what governs what is allowed as far as lighting on the property is what governs lighting on residential properties. It's codified, it's in there, and we can go over that with them and hopefully formulate something that's compliant.
Is that helpful to you, Andy? And your client?
Who is, I don't.
Eric Schatz was head of the planning
Hi,
department.
Eric Schatz with the planning department. I'm the principal planner for the town.
Hey, Eric.
Should have introduced myself. Sorry.
He left. He moved upstate. He came back on the town's payroll in this position, and so he's with us on for everything. Yeah. Okay.
So, and I think we've said it before, you and I have talked about this, but I think the board has run out of patience with this applicant in terms of.
I'm sorry.
You and I have spoken about this. We mentioned this earlier in the meeting, but it needs to be stated that this board is basically kind of run out of patience with this applicant. And when we asked 3 months ago that something be done, which is basically a nuisance, like an outdoor TV, and the owner flagrantly disregards what this board has asked, it's hard to work with an applicant when this happens. And it's not just the television. This is kind of like build it first, ask for forgiveness later.
I'm sure that they are taking note of that.
Okay.
Okay. We look forward to seeing you again soon, Andy. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
So do I.
Okay, moving on. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-196-1-8.5. This is still an agricultural overlay. This is 28 Sayers Path in Waynescott. Diane, this is yours.
There it is. Yes, this is a residence on a flag lot, a few lots off of Montauk Highway, south of Montauk Highway. It is a very modest and discreet house right now. You can see this is the angle you see it when you enter the flag lot. I mean, when you drive up the driveway. They are proposing, let's show some more pictures, Will. This is the, oh, I'd like this picture because I like their big peace sign. Anyway, it's a very peaceful property. Keep going, Will. This is the agricultural overlay facing side of the house. And what it's facing is a horse farm or a horse riding farm. Keep going. Okay, that's the owner's hand, and she's pointing to where the garage, they hope the garage will be.
To the right.
Keep going, yes, to the right. And this is what you see. You see the fences of the horse farm. And over there in the corner, I have another picture of that, but this is a fire pit that is in the wrong spot now, that it's part of this application to move it. This is the opposite side of the house that faces nothing, basically. The next picture shows you. Yeah, this is what it faces, nothing. So,
and that's the lot that's closer to the street on the other side of the trees.
Yes.
Is that
And
the entry?
Will, there is
Front door.
that's the front door. Will, in the drawings, there's A201 and A202 that are the existing and proposed elevations of both sides of the house, and I think makes it very, very clear. The addition to the main house, as well as the addition of minor accessory structures. The house was originally constructed in 2015, and the current owners wish to add the first and second floor, as well as an attached garage, a gym, patio, and 2 second-floor decks. So,
and it looks like redoing the front.
yeah.
So, yeah, that.
Yeah, if the front, which still, of course, will face what is
Landscape.
can't be seen. Is
But
not.
it's a much more traditional house
Yeah.
now.
And there's quite a bit of additional fenestration, but I don't know that it's. I don't find it objectionable in any way.
It looks like they've changed to 6 light casements by and large instead of the 2/2 double hungs.
Mm-hmm. And the application also includes legalizing a fire pit area, which you saw a little bit of, and a small outdoor storage shed that will be shifted to meet the side yard setbacks. There's also a lighting plan with appropriate downlights in 7 locations that are all code compliant. And as I said, the east side only faces this horse farm that can't be seen by anyone except, I understand it's Mr. Farrell's daughter who rides there and her horse. So,
Okay.
remarks, comments?
So this is the same owner doing this, same owner?
Yes, same owner.
So I think it's,
And I happened to be her aunt who lived next door, who happened to be an old colleague of mine on Madison Avenue, actually. Seems to own this property and own the property next door, which is a very similar feeling property.
I think it's a big improvement.
I think it's an
And
improvement.
it's not a huge monstrosity of a house. It's just a nice, sort of more traditional looking house.
Where it is relative to, there we go. And yeah, I don't object to the architecture, any of the sort of architectural moves being proposed here. I would just like to know what the, like, what is the gross floor area versus
the lot building coverage? The existing is 2,600, proposed is 3,760. The maximum allowed is over 6,000.
Okay.
The lot coverage, existing 9,661, proposed 10,700, allowed 16,000. And the gross floor area, existing 3,900, proposed 5,583, and the maximum allowed 5,662. So they've almost maxed out the gross floor area.
Right.
But everything else is.
So this survey or site plan shows the L shape existing, and then the shaded areas are where they're proposing to add the garage and the connector addition and some decks there.
Seems weird. That's the proposed, and that's maxing out.
That's the proposed addition to the existing is the L shape above it with.
Oh, can you zoom in on it? I get it.
Here it is in color.
I thought that seems awfully small for maxing out the GFA. Okay.
Bruce, do you want to come up and chat with us?
Good afternoon, Bruce Siska. I am the architect for the applicant. Any questions you have, I'll be more than happy to address.
I think it's a big improvement.
Yeah, I like it very much.
That front
improvement.
The old front entranceway is a little surprising.
Yeah.
The house started out as a modular.
Oh, it has
Started out as a what?
Yeah.
Concept was
modular. Yeah.
Changing out the existing part of the house to match the addition.
So the addition drove the house.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, given what's going on that street, I think this is a very sympathetic renovation.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm fine with any comments.
Huge improvement, yeah. It's amazing.
Well, it seems like we're all in agreement, Bruce, that it's very nice. So I would like to make a motion to approve this application as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously passed. Okay, thanks.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to extension of times. This is the Wayne-Scott Sewing Society, 66 Main Street in Wayne-Scott, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-1-12. Diane, this is also yours.
This is of course, this is the endearing Wayne-Scott Chapel. With its beloved view. I've even taken a few pictures because, you know, this location is charm beyond charm. I understand that the Wayne-Scott Heritage Society is working with them to replace the windows. And of course, this is the several acres that it faces that the town of East Hampton has just purchased recently. So it is in good hands and will never be touched. So all they want is an extension of time because they've had an unfortunate situation with a general contractor who had a debilitating medical event which stopped the construction. Anyway, the company is now back and running just when their permits expired. So they expect to have the handicap ramp completed by the end of July and the driveway, which will be right there. You can sort of see where the vehicles have passed through by October. So the Wainscot Sewing Society is probably one of our most cherished institutions. So I see no reason why we wouldn't extend their time.
Totally agree.
I agree.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, so do we make a motion on this extension? So I would like to make a motion to extend this, to extend the time on this resolution as asked.
Second,
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimously passed. Okay, number 8, we already did earlier. Still under certificate of occupancy, this is 269 Main Street in Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-171-2-10.1. Chris, this is yours.
Okay, I don't know if you all recall, Clara, I don't think you were on the board at this point, but the applicant, this is in the agricultural overlay district. In fact, it is a farm, and it faces the town parking lot in Amagansett. It's way back from Main Street. We approved a rebuild in kind of the barn, which is the largest structure on the right, and the kennel, which is the smaller structure on the left. And that's what they've done. So we could show the pictures. This is the back. That's the front of the barn from facing the street. This is the kennel and the barn beyond, the large barn doors. That's the back of the barn.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was all, I mean, this is rebuilding what was there, the side of the barn, and that's how it connects to that existing little, sort of farm office building there. I don't know what that is. A little, little connector that was existing. So they managed to rebuild this and reconnect, and in fact stay within just a couple of feet of this huge silo too, which is kind of must have been an interesting engineering feat to excavate for. But it's what they said they would do. So if I can borrow.
Is there a house associated with this?
There is a house on the property, and I knocked on the door, but the screen door, was the only thing keeping me from walking in, but nobody answered the door. So
Okay.
They're very nice people when I met them first time around. There you can see the footprint, the kennels on the bottom, and the barn is the big block there on the left, and then that connector and that little white office, structure there. And the house is right there at the driveway. So this long flag lot driveway that goes right past the historic houses that we looked at
Last time. Got it. Oh, that's where that driveway goes.
Yes.
I see.
Yep, there's the house that's slated to be demolished and rebuilt in kind. Additions. Any other?
Nope.
That's okay. Well, I make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution dated August 1st, 2024, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
Second. I'll second it. Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Frank, okay, unanimously passed. Last, still under C of Os, this is Twinkle Farm, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-193-2-9.7, 7 Green Hollow Road in East Hampton. Diane, this is yours.
Yes. Okay, so Twinkle Farm. So there have been 3 resolutions, all of which have been complied with. The most recent one in June of this year was for gates. In March of this year, we approved the skylights, the solar panels, and an outdoor counter and a sink. And a few years ago, in 2022 April, we approved the barn, which you see there, the gorgeous greenhouse, which they call the Victorian Manor, and it's absolutely beautiful, and the agricultural fencing. So I have visited there. Everything is complete and adheres to our resolutions.
I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
We talked about this last time in detail.
In fact, it was already built last time, so
It was already built.
we saw it.
Yes. So So it's very nice, and I would like to make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the conditions and that this application conforms to the ARB approval of the resolutions dated June 26th and March 27th of 2025 and April 14th of 2022, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Chris, unanimously passed. I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting at 5:12. May I have a second?
Second.
Frank, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, you guys got it. Have a good one.
Thank you, Eric.
Eric, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very helpful.